How's everybody doing today? We've got a Draft League team analysis video for Possum today. So first up, we've got the normal core team with what I believe to be pretty normal sets for each of his mons. First off, we have a Choice Specs Dragapult. This is going to boost its special attack by 1.5, running the Infiltrator ability opposed to the Clear Body or Cursed Body, just so that it can get past the Reflect, Light Screen, etc. Goes through substitutes as well, so it's going to prevent your opponent from stopping the Dragapult from doing things. We have his two main stab attacks in Draco Meteor and Shadow Ball. We have U-Turn to combo with the Choice Specs just so you don't get stuck in there with something. And we have Fire Blast as a coverage move. Alternatively, if he's worried about accuracy, he can go Flamethrower. He could even go Hydro Pump in certain matchups, or even like Thunderbolt or Thunder or something like that. For the EVs, we're going max special attack, max speed with a timid nature. This will allow it to outspeed the most amount of things, as well as dealing a considerable amount of damage. It is only base 100 special attack, and it has 120 base attack, but most of its moves on the special side are a little bit better, so it's usually more common to see a special Dragapult. Next up, we have the Light Clay Prankster Screens Grimmsnarl. So with this set, the Light Clay is going to increase Light Screen and Reflect to 8 turns instead of 5. Reflect reduces physical damage by half, Light Screen reduces special damage. So when he brings it out, he can put up the Light Screen or Reflect depending on what's in front of him. With this set also we go Taunt, so in case he's in front of something that might set up a Stealth Rocks or something like that, he can go for Taunt. It'll keep them from getting that up and allow him to get up screens for free. Next, as an attack, we're going to go for Spirit Break. It'll stop those special attackers from coming in. So it's just kind of a little bit of utility as well as being a stab for him. For EVs, we're going max HP, max special defense, careful nature. This will kind of just give it the most amount of bulk possible. 75 base special defense, not terrible. It's pretty decent. 65 base defense, so you're more than likely going to see this as a specially defensive wall. Next, we have a Black Sludge Levitate Galarian Weezing. Black Sludge acts just like Leftovers, however, if it's tricked away or something like that, then the attacker or the thief of the item is going to be taking damage if it's not a poison type. Levitate gets rid of one of its weaknesses, other than Excadrill or something like that that has the Mold Breaker ability. For this set, it's more of just you want the Galarian Weezing to be a tank as well as a defogger, so preventing it from getting hit by spikes or sticky webs just makes a little bit more of an easy switch in for him. We have Defog to get rid of any of the entry hazards, Will-O-Wisp to neuter the physical attackers, Pain Split to heal back up and hurt the opponent a little bit, and Strange Stream just in case you get taunted. It has a 20% chance to confuse, not really what you're going for. You just want the stab attack. 95% accuracy, so there's that small chance it could miss, but more than likely it's going to hit the majority of the time. This also is going to be a specially defensive wall. Even though it does have a 120 base defense, and it would make more sense for it to be physically defensive, the rest of the mons here are built to be a physical defense tank, so having him be specially defensive means that his defenses are a little bit more evened out, so it's going to be the better option later down the road. Next up, we have a White Herb and Sturdy Shuckle. White Herb allows him to get up sticky webs without being taunted, and then maybe even go for a knockoff on a second predicted taunt. Sturdy keeps him from getting knocked out to ensure sticky webs is going up turn 1 for sure. Past sticky webs, we also have Stealth Rocks. So if maybe the matchup doesn't rely on sticky webs, or if he's going against Trick Room or something like that, then it can stop his opponent from kind of just getting the free sticky webs from him. We also have Encore. If your opponent tries to set up in front of you, you can click the Encore, get in something that can kill the setup sweeper, and then they're forced to switch out. Knockoff as utility. It doesn't have a whole bunch of attack, so this is just going to be to get rid of an item, maybe get rid of one of the setters that is using an Eviolite, maybe get rid of a switch in that has a choiced item. It'll be just really great for Possum to be able to get rid of things like that. Now this one here, he kind of has the option if he wants to go physical or especially defensive. I think actually a better choice would for it to be physically defensive. So let's just make those quick changes real quick. So this will even out in his team. So he has 2 special walls and then 2 defensive walls, which we'll get into. So this thing has 230 in both defense and special defense. So it's going to be a great tank. It only has a 20 base HP, so things like Nightshade, Seismic Toss are going to be doing a crap ton of damage basically, because they ignore the defenses of Pokemon, just does straight up damage. So that's just something for him to think about, but Shuckle is probably going to be on the majority of his teams. Next up, we have the Flame Orb Marvel Scale Milotic. Flame Orb, at the end of every turn, the item is going to burn the holder, which combos with Marvel Scale's ability, which is when this Pokemon's status, its defense, is increased by 1.5. So it's a pseudo Assault Vest, although it allows you to do other attacks that aren't just actual attacks. For the moves, we have Scald to combo with the Stab Water type. Also, the increased chance to burn is pretty nice. We have Ice Beam, just a great coverage option. Alternatively, he could go for like Dragon Tail, Protect if he needs to, just to make sure that that Flame Orb goes off. Yeah, in coverage, this isn't the greatest mon, but it's going to be a great bulk. As we've seen in a couple of Possum Masters already, Milotic has played a huge part on his team. Recover to heal back up 50%, and then Haze to get rid of stat changes. That's to keep the special or the setup sweepers from really doing much. Because of how bulky this is, it's going to be able to tank the hit, get rid of the Haze, and then your opponent has to start back over. For EVs, we're going max HP, max defense. Since the defense is going to be multiplied by 1.5 when you're burned, it's going to go up to a huge number, so it's going to be really hard for physical walls to break through this. Finally, for this team, we have a Life Orb Silvally. RKS system, whenever it has a memory, it changes its type, so it's not going to play a role here. So we're just using the Life Orb to increase the damage. We have Swords Dance, so you can be the setup sweeper. Multi-attack, which got changed this game to 120 base power. So 120 with the stab, it's always going to be stab no matter what type you are. It's going to go up to 180 base power, which that's really strong for a 100% accuracy move. Next we have Parting Shot, so you can switch out, not really worry about what's coming in, because it lowers their attack and special attack. So it's great for if maybe he wants to have another setup sweeper, or just get that Dragapult in to do a massive amount of damage. Finally, we have Rock Slide as a coverage attack. He can switch this up into anything that he needs for who he's playing against. So Crunch, we saw Fire Fang when he was playing against Balder, so he could attack the Ferroseed. This thing has a great move pool, so really the coverage is whatever he needs it to be. And also with the RKS system, he can switch out Life Orb or any of the memories. So he can switch that up, keep the entirely same move pool, and just kind of abuse a weakness that he sees on one of his opponent's teams. For the EVs, we're going max speed, max attack with a Jolly Nature, 95 base in everything, so this Pokemon is pretty well rounded. You can get it up to 317 at level 100. It's going to be a little less than half, I believe, when it's split at level 50, but it's still going to be outspeeding a lot of the mons with that. So that's the core team. Let's look into another one for him. This one is the pretty common Hexapult. So this utilizes Hex, which is a ghost type attack, 65 base power, power doubles if the target has a status ailment. So with it being ghost and stab, it's already going up to around a 97, I believe, base power attack. And when it's doubled, it goes to 130 here, plus stab, so it goes up to 195. So that's a massive hit for a lot of mons. Will-O-Wisp to get the status. Substitute, so you can get that off if your opponent tries to switch out. Disable to utilize Dragapult's huge speed. You go for a sub, they hit the sub, you go for disable, stops them from attacking, and then you're free to set up another sub, go for Will-O-Wisp, Hex, and just keep repeating that until you're able to tear through their team. Use leftovers on this so you can heal up from the substitute that you're damaging yourself with. Infiltrator keeps your opponent from setting up their own substitute to try to prevent this. You could also use Clear Body if your opponent's going to use Sticky Webs, but ultimately the Infiltrator is the main ability on this set. Again, we're going max speed, max special attack to increase the damage and the outspeeding potential. Next we have a leftovers sub bulk up Grimmsnarl with Prankster. This set utilizes Prankster basically to its fullest amount. You get the substitute, you can scout out attacks whenever you want. Bulk up will allow you to take on the physical attackers, so you get the priority defense up, and then whenever you want you can start throwing off attacks. Drain Punch to heal yourself back up. It's not stab, so you could switch this out for the Spirit Break instead, but Drain Punch is really going to let you utilize yourself being damaged from the substitutes. So combined with the leftovers, you're going to be keeping yourself at max most of the time. Sucker Punch then to continue the priority, since we are going mainly bulky with the EVs. It allows you to take out things that are just trying to break your sub even, or threatening the Grimmsnarl. Once you're bulked up a bunch, then this thing's going to be a massive threat to your opponent's team. For EVs, it's max HP, max attack, adamant nature. Get the most amount of bulk that you can, and then the attack 120 base is pretty great for a mon like this. It's kind of funny that it has Prankster even with this kind of attack stat, so it works out really well. I think that this set is one of Grimmsnarl's best, so it'd be nice to see Possum bring those a couple times. Next we have a Neutralizing Gas Galarian Weezing. Neutralizing Gas is a unique ability that it has that stops abilities in play. So this will be used to shut off like Shadow Tag, Arena Trap, Mold Breaker, Swift Swim, etc. while it's in play. So it's a pretty interesting ability. It's not going to be coming most of the time. I think that Levitate's going to be a more common option for him, just because it does get rid of one of his weaknesses. Again, we're using the Black Sludge for that increased healing. The attacks are pretty similar, except that we're going with Toxic Spikes to combo with the Dragapult. So if your opponent's running some fire types that can't be Will-O-Wisp, you throw out the Toxic Spikes, so then when they come in, they get hit by that, and the Dragapult can start doing a massive amount of damage. Let's go over the EVs real quick. It's going to be the max HP, max defense, to really utilize that huge defense stat that Galarian Weezing has. Next we have the Choice Scarf Imposter Ditto. EVs and such don't really matter too much. I believe it's just the IVs that matter. I could be wrong. I'm not really sure how Ditto works, so I think it's mainly just for when you come in and have to take the Stealth Rocks and such. But anyway, the Choice Scarf plus Imposter means that when your opponent sets up with a sweeper, you get to come in, you get their stat changes, and you also still have your Choice Scarf, so you're going to be outspeeding them regardless. And again, EVs and such I don't believe matter, so I'm not going to get into them. Next we have Unaware Leftovers Pyukumuku. This is also to combo with the Hex Dragapult. We run the combination of Toxic plus Soak. Soak is going to change the Steel or Poison types into the Water, and then you can throw a Toxic onto them and then proceed to kind of stall out a little bit just to make your opponent either switch or do a bunch of damage. We have Unaware, so that you ignore the stat changes from a setup sweeper or from something trying to maybe lower down the Pyukumuku's defenses. Yeah, that's pretty much just to set up for the Dragapult and be a tank. We've got 130 base defense on both of these, so we're going specially defensive here to work with the defensive Galarian Weezing. Max and Max goes up pretty high, so again, just like with the Shuckle, pretty low base HP, so you gotta watch out for Nightshades and Seismic Tosses. But other than that, this thing is going to be a pretty good wall against most people's teams. And here we're using a Silvally, same one as before, so he could just change this out to whatever type he's playing against. The final team that we have for Possum is the Sticky Web Abuser. So here we have a Life Orb Clear Body Dragapult. So this one's a setup sweeper with the Dragon Dance. It's going to raise its attack and speed by 1 stage. Dragapult already faster than most Mons, so once you get the Dragon Dance up, it's going to mean that nothing that comes in with a Choice Scarf is going to outspeed you, other than a Selgor or something weird like that. But I don't believe anybody has that in the draft even, so it's not too much of a problem. Clear Body prevents you from getting slowed by sticky webs that might go up. For the attacks, we're going with Dragon Darts. It's going to break subs, and it's going to do a massive amount of damage. It's 50 base power, which means that it becomes 75 base power from the stab, and it hits twice, so it's basically 150 base power, which is pretty great for a physical attack that does that. We have U-turn to be able to get out of there if something's not really going our way, and then Sucker Punch for the priority, in case your opponent has a priority attack of their own and you just want to either get some damage off, or if you're already Dragon Danced up, you can do a massive hit to them. Now here we are going Adamant instead of Jolly, just because the Dragon Dances are going to allow us to outspeed most things, and it'll really give us the biggest amount of attack that we can. Next we have a Choice Banded Grimmsnarl. Unfortunately, Prankster doesn't really do anything for all attacks, so we're going to go Frisk. We get to see what our opponent's holding. Maybe they've got some kind of tricky set, so it'll be a great scout to see what's going on. Although as soon as you reveal Frisk, your opponent's going to think either Choice Band or Assault Vest. So it kind of neutralizes Grimmsnarl's proficiency there. With a Choice Band, though, we get to utilize the massive attack stat that Grimmsnarl has. We're going to use the 2 stab attacks in Darkest Lariat and Spirit Break. Darkest Lariat ignores target stat changes, so if they do something that increases their defense, maybe it's like a Curse Lax or a Bulk Up Mon, Darkest Lariat can come out and it just ignores the defense raises. Spirit Break, as we said before, just to lower the special attack. It's also a physical fairy, so it's pretty nice to have. Drain Punch to get some healing, and then Fire Punch as just some coverage. Alternatively to Fire Punch, he can go Ice Punch, he could do Shadow Claw, Thunder Punch. It's got a great physical move pool, so kind of whatever he wants there. Next up we have a Light Clay Pyukumuku. So pretty similar to how the Grimmsnarl was before. We're using Light Clay to make Light Screen and Reflect last 8 turns. Unaware is going to mean that it ignores the stat changes so that he can freely get up these 2 screens. We've got Toxic, so that you can kind of tick down on something, and Memento, so then you can do this to one of your opponent's Mons after you set up your screens. It'll lower their attack and special attack by 2 stages, and you can bring in your Dragapult and set up a Dragon Dance so then it can get a massive hit off on whatever comes in next. We're going max HP, max special defense here, just to be the special defensive wall for the team. Next, we have Possum's low point pick in Swirlix. We're using Eviolite so that it can boost its defenses. And we have the Unburden ability, just because this thing going to sleep is not really that big of a deal. So, just Unburden. If he gets knocked off, it'll be a little bit quicker. We have Aromatherapy and Wish, so it can act as a cleric. Protect so it can get its own wish, and Sticky Webs, which is the main reason to run this. It's faster than Shuckle, which would be the only reason to bring it over that. And it does have these two moves which are pretty unique. So you can get a Sticky Web off, or he could Protect turn 1 to kind of scout out. And then once he does that, he can get up a Wish, and then switch it off into the Dragapult so that it can take a hit, heal back up, and then proceed to try to set up to sweep. We're going max HP, max speed. The bulkiness from the Eviolite, it only has 66 and 57, so it's not incredibly bulky. You could maybe change it up to be physically or specially defensive, but ultimately having that speed will allow it to outspeed maybe some of those bulkier mons that come into lead with Stealth Rocks and such. Next we have a Guts Toxic Herb Flareon. So unfortunately Flareon will not get burned by the Flame Orb, which would be better because the Guts makes you ignore the burn. But it's going to badly poison the Flareon when it comes in, or at the end of the turn rather. Guts is going to boost the attack by 1.5, so it gets a pseudo choice band, but allowing you to switch up moves. Flare Blitz is going to be its best attack with the stab bonus. Flare Blitz becomes a 180 base physical attack, so it's going to be great for breaking through walls. Quick attack to have a little bit of priority. Not going to be doing a whole bunch of damage, but it's nice to have for the priority, which Steam is lacking a little bit of. We have Superpower as coverage, and then Facade to combine with the Toxic Orb and the Guts. So the power doubles up from 70 to 140, and then you get the attack bonus from Guts, so it's a great combo. If you see anybody running Guts, they probably have Facade as one of their moves. Next we have Max Attack, Max Speed. You could run Jolly instead if your opponent has things that are outsped by Flareon, but ultimately we're going Max Attack just to do the most amount of damage and combo with the Guts even more. Finally, we have a competitive Milotic. This is for in case your opponent uses webs on you, you can bring this in. Competitive is going to boost your special attack by 2 stages, so it also works well if your opponent's doing things that lower other stats. This thing's going to get a big boost to special. Now for attacks, we're going Scald, great with the stab. You can change this up into Hydro Pump instead though, if you want to just get the most amount of damage. And then Ice Beam and Dragon Pulse as coverage. Like we said before, it doesn't have the greatest special coverage, so kind of its best options unfortunately, but you could put in work. Most of the dragons in this game are weak to ice, so you're going to be using that more often, but Dragon Pulse is kind of just there. You could swap it up for the Protect maybe, or Recover, maybe something along those lines. And then, oh, well, we already have Recover, so it would be Protect or maybe Haze. No, you wouldn't want to Haze because you have your own setup. So it's kind of a difficult set to run. Doesn't have a great move pool for it, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Leftovers just to heal yourself up, because we are going max HP, max special attack with the Modest. So when this thing comes in on Sticky Webs, it's going to get the 2x boost to special attack, and it's going to do a whole bunch of damage. So your opponent's going to really have to think about what's coming in here. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. Possum, if you're watching, take these teams into account. If you're an opponent of Possum, also take these teams into account and maybe kind of try to set up things that can beat some of these core teams. But anyway, guys, hope you had a great day. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can check out our next videos when they come up. Alright, bye-bye.